It was quite possibly one of the best jobs I've ever had. I was baling hay with a couple of buddies of mine the summer of my sophomore year. And it was amazing because we got paid $4.50 an hour, plus we got an hour for lunch, plus we got paid for lunch, plus they bought our lunch. I mean, it was amazing. Just a phenomenal job, and we enjoyed it. It was hard work, but man, we enjoyed it. And I remember one day, because it was so hot, summers in Indiana, and it got to like 101 or 102, and we were just roasting out there. And we got the hay wagons loaded up, and so we decided to stop by a creek. I think it was the Sugar Creek, actually, and we decided just to do some wading in the water and get cooled off and stuff. And I was walking across, and maybe the water is up to my waist, well, a little lower than that. And I paused because there was this stick. I was just talking with the guys, and there was this stick just floating down. And it got about 3 feet from me, and I realized it wasn't a stick. It was a water moccasin. And I don't know how big of a fan you are of snakes, but I wasn't huge at the time, and I'm even less so now, but I just froze. And it went between my legs and kept on going. And as soon as it got past me, I was out of the water. I don't even know if I touched the water on the way out, but I was like, fellas, we got to go. And you know what? From then until now, I have never really been a big fan of snakes. In fact, I've probably been a little bit scared of snakes, if I'll be honest with you. People are scared of a lot of things. There's some folks who are scared of dogs, and sometimes it's because a dog scared them when they were a child, or some people are afraid of cats because maybe a cat scratched them when they were young. Some people are afraid of balloons because one popped around them and it really scared them really bad. And some people are afraid of clowns, and country music, that's another thing people should be afraid of. And the things that we're afraid of, they're not necessarily bad things. In fact, being afraid, that's part of our warning system. That lets us know that, it lets us know that we need to be cautious, that we need to take care. Being afraid to the point of being overwhelmed, to being panicked, to not thinking clearly, not trusting the community you live in, that's not a good thing at all. It seems to me there's all this talk about COVID-19 and coronavirus, and you know what? There's some of that we should be a little bit afraid of. There's some of that we should take care because of. But we shouldn't be panicked. We shouldn't be so afraid that we're not thinking clearly. The writer in the Psalms, he said, "When I am afraid, I will trust in you, in God whose word I praise." He doesn't say, don't be afraid. Not in that sense anyway. He says, when I'm afraid, this is what I do. I think about the God that I trust in, the God whose word I praise. In the New Testament, the Apostle Paul, he says, be anxious for nothing, but in everything, by prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present your request to God, and the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your heart and your mind in Christ Jesus. Again, be anxious for nothing. It's okay to be afraid. It's not okay to let our fear control us. That's where courage comes in. And so for us, if you're overwhelmed right now by the thought of getting sick, or of not being cared for, not being able to get the food you need, or those sorts of things, do me a favor. Turn that concern into a request to God. Be anxious for nothing, but in everything by prayer and petition with thanksgiving. Tell God what you need. And the promise is that the peace of God, which goes beyond all understanding, will guard your heart and your mind in Christ Jesus. You know, we're in this together, right? I mean, we're a community and we're a family. And as family, we look out for each other. We take care of each other. We're not going to let you go hungry, just like I know you wouldn't let me go hungry. We're not going to let people forget about you. If you get overwhelmed by the thought of all this, then just give one of us a call. If you find yourself panicked and you don't really know what to do, then reach out to your family here at the Broken Wall, because we are in this together. We live in this community because we love our community and because we believe that loving our neighbors, well, that's a pretty important thing, right? I mean, a couple of thousand years ago, there lived a man named Jesus. And the most important thing I can tell you about Jesus is that he is the Son of God. And he said that the second most important thing we could do next to loving God with all that we are is loving each other. And one of the ways that we show that we love each other is by being here for each other. So if you want to send an email through the website, brokenwallproject.org, you want to reach out because you have our phone number, send a text, reach out to one of us on Facebook. Just however, if you have a need, if you're in need, and if you're afraid to the point where you're finding it hard to go to sleep, or you're finding it hard to eat, or you're just overwhelmed by it all, then reach out to us. We'll pray with you. We'll work at not being anxious together. We love you guys. We're so glad to be neighbors. You take care, all right?